Well, good morning. Nope, that's not what we say. That's not how I start it. Hey, this is Brenda Lee with Modig Leadership, and I just wanted to share with you today, one of the questions I get asked a lot, actually, especially when I'm speaking, is how do I do it as a single parent? And the reality is I'm a single mom of 4 boys. Dad has not been involved for over 2 years by choices that he chose to make. And so I'm mom 24/7, 365, no break, no break, no nothing, right? No relief, no tapping out, no when I'm sick that somebody else gets to go put the kids to bed. They still want their mom and they still want me to be there. And those days you just literally want to pull the covers over your head and it's just not an option. And so people literally will ask me, because couple that with running my own business, right? I run my own business. We're in a massive growth phase. I travel in and out of town. Like, how do I do it? Well, let's break that down for you. Okay. So first of all, it's amazing what you can do when you have to. And that's just one thing that I really want to hammer into people's heads. Like, we really limit our ability and what we think we're capable of doing. And when we put our mind to something, I've had a conversation with my boys. In fact, this is one of the main key points is quality over quantity. We have quality time together. It's not quantity like it used to be. When I was a stay-at-home mom, I was always kind of there, but I wasn't really engaged, right? I was busy cleaning, I was busy cooking, I was busy grocery shopping, and you're with each other all the time, that there really wasn't a whole lot of quality. Well, now we're really, really intentional. So when we have our time together, it's phone. Everybody's phones are down. We go for a walk and we go to our local coffee shop and they get their hot chocolate and I get some tea and then we go to the park and we hang out. We usually order food in. I'm not cooking that day. We're hanging out. We're playing board games. We might watch a movie if the weather's not great. This is one thing I want to say for sure that is absolutely the number one reason why I'm able to do what I do. I have freaking phenomenal kids. I have exceptional human beings for kids. Shit, I'm going to get emotional. They seriously are amazing young men. We have issues. We go toe to toe. They do crap that they shouldn't, but at the core of who they are absolutely exceptional human beings. And a lot of that, you guys, is because we have real conversations. This emotional intelligence, I'm not kidding you guys. We actually live this day in and day out. Because we live it day in and day out, my kids are mature in a way that most adults, like I tell them all the time, you're more emotionally mature than 99% of the adults out in the world, right? They've got such an emotional intelligence. They're able to handle this. And that brings me to a conversation that I had with them about 6 months ago or so ago. My business was really taking off. And it was something where we had to come to an agreement where, how are we going to navigate this? Are you guys going to be okay with this? If this happens, we're going to shift into the quality versus quantity, and we're going to do vacations and stuff together, and we're going to really focus on each other when we have this time. I sat my 2 older ones down. My 2 youngers they're 7 and 11, so not a whole lot of influence in on that conversation. But as I sat down with my older 2 and said, this is what this means. This is what this means for us. We have to band together, and we get to work through my business and grow this company if this is something that you guys are okay with. And they just unequivocally said, absolutely, Mom. What can we do to support you? We totally agree with that. Like, you've worked so hard for so many years that this is your time and we want this to go and we are in full support. So it's because we've gone through hell and back and forth again several times. And we've just gotten kicked in the teeth by some influential people in all of our lives. And we just rise up together. We always just stick together and band together and we get through it together. So that is hands down my number 1 tip. Number 2, I am now to the point where we outsource as much as possible. If there is anything that I that don't have to do that someone else can do, we outsource it. Now, there was a time I couldn't afford to do that, right? Where I couldn't afford Instacart. I would run the numbers and Instacart was $50 more each trip. And so I would be like, no, I have to go do it. Or I would solicit my kids. Thank goodness they're drivers, and they're so willing, like, hey, can you guys go to the grocery store? And that's the other thing. I really do give my kids a lot of responsibility because I absolutely refuse to raise boys that don't know how to take care of a home, don't know how to clean or do their own laundry, don't know how to cook. They learn and they do all of this stuff. In fact, my 2 little ones made us breakfast a couple weekends ago. They did French toast and bacon. They made French toast and bacon and they did it all themselves and it was all done. They did all the cleanup and they took care of it. And I was just like, you guys are responsible human beings. This is exactly how it should be because they're learning while I am here to support them and teach them, but they're learning how to be adults. And so I really involve my kids in the daily. They have their own chores. We all have our own chore list. Everybody chips in and they don't get get paid for it. It's part of, this is the honor and privilege that you get from living in this house, living in this home, of being cared for. And a lot of people will be like, well, that's what parents should do. Yep. And they don't have to have this nice of a house, and they don't have to have that nice of cars that they drive, and they don't have to get their insurance paid for. And quite frankly, they don't even have to drive if they don't want to. But when mom is footing the bill for all of that, it's at the minimum, it's important for them to chip in and do their part within the family. Okay. So anyway, back to the whole point of outsourcing though, I really had to let a lot of that go, because partly I kept thinking, well, I can't do it as good as anybody else. And I'm much more faster. It's going to take longer to teach someone and tell someone and this, that, and the other thing. And the reality is in the long run, it is hands down freed up so much more of my time by outsourcing everything possible. Housekeepers, Instacart, my executive assistant, she does all the things that I can't do, because in my business, I'm the one that comes and shows up and does the training and the speaking and all that kind of stuff. And that's just stuff, people coming up with all the content, like all that stuff. I have to do that. And so I have to minimize and flick off my plate as much as possible. So a third thing that is really critical to my success is I have phenomenal neighbors. Seriously, I live in a 1950s neighborhood. These people chime in. If I, at any moment, called somebody, I would have 8 brothers at my doorstep with guns, ready to take care of whatever they needed to help me out. And that carries over into my kids. These men in the neighborhood care for my kids and role model for them in ways that they don't have in their life right now. And so it has been so critical for them to have these people and step into their life, give 2 rips about them, pour into them. I mean, I can't tell you how many times my 2 neighbors to the right of me have fixed my kids' bikes, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know what happened. I'm busy. I'm doing stuff. They just go take care of it. And when you have a support system that way, it just is priceless. They're watching my kids. I get reports like, hey, we heard, like a kid come home later last night, like what's going on? People are watching. And I'm not, it takes a village to raise these boys. I'm not doing it by myself. And oftentimes it feels that way. And I get that. Even if you share the load with a spouse or an ex-spouse where the kids go off and they're gone, it still feels really lonely. But when you allow the people around you in your life to participate in your family and participate in your life and participate in raising these kids, because as much as my kids are at their house, when I'm home, their kids are at my house, and we do the same thing here. And their daughters are over here, and I'm having conversations with them. I'm Aunt Brenda to one of the girls down the street, right? And so we all get to just share this killer environment. So if you've got a support network, do not be afraid of soliciting them. And hopefully they care for you and love you enough that they're willing to do it organically, right? Like, it's the best when people around you just choose to step up. And, I've said this before, where if you know a single parent, they need help. Like, just don't even ask. They need help. There's no way around it. I'll hear sometimes some neighbors, like whatever, where the husband's gone for like 2 or 3 days and they've got like 2 or 3 kids. And I'm like, girlfriend, I don't ever say it to their face. And I guess now the cat's out of the bag, but I don't even want to hear it, because I'm like, you have no friggin' idea on the daily what I go through, right? Like I do this day in, day out, like I said, 24/7, 365, all while maintaining and running a business. And so back to that outsource the things you're not good at. I mean, my assistant does all this crap that was not getting done for me. She is critical in a lot of the growth of my company, because I finally was able to offload these things that I was unwilling to do that needed to be done in order to grow it. So, and then it also freed me up to be in my wheelhouse and do what I'm best at. And that is where I needed to be. So get into your wheelhouse. Whatever you can hand off to other people, if it's not something you love, if it's not something you're good at, hand it off to somebody. Even having the assistant, it's harder on the front end, where you have to teach them how to do stuff, but in the long run, it's worth it, and it's so much more time efficient. So last but not least, here's what's really, really, really important, is to give yourself grace. There are things that just don't get done. And I'm a high achiever, and I really like to have things done, right? I make lists. I'll put stuff on a list after I already did it, just so I can cross it off, okay? I don't do that so much anymore. I've gotten a lot better about that, but I seriously used to do that, because there was just some sense of accomplishment of, yep, okay, I got something done, right? And the reality is we have to just give grace. I mean, there's like maybe 2.5 weeks worth of mail in a container that's actually a flower pot that is sat on my counter that has been there for several weeks, right? And it just is what it is. All my bills are automated, so I know it's nothing necessarily critical, but it just is the reality. So you have to give yourself grace that you're not going to be able to have the capacity you may have before. It's that simple, and it's okay. So give yourself permission to do your best, or outsource and let other people help you. But when you can't get things accomplished, I used to seriously berate myself and beat myself up. No, there is no person that speaks to you the way that you do, right? I would never allow anyone to talk to me the way that I will talk to me, the way that I used to talk to me, right? I don't do that anymore. I have worked really hard to mitigate and shut down. I call it the 2 a.m. voice. Some people call it the gremlin, or my neighbor calls it bitchy Betty, right? Where she pipes in, she's just railing you about all the things that you haven't done. And this is why we celebrate. This is a key component. We celebrate in our house, and with every business I work with, every company, every client, everything. We live in such a society where we don't really celebrate the little things, or we think we're like an egotistical jackwagon if we do. The reality is we've got to celebrate, especially as a single parent. I get to celebrate that, okay, there's stuff all over my counters still, and they're clean, right? At least they're clean today. I get to celebrate that we have been doing YouTube for 5+ months, and we've only missed one. Like, that's pretty badass, right? And so things happen, and giving yourself grace, celebrating the little tiny victories, celebrating that I got a workout in this morning. Wasn't as long as I wanted it to be. It just wasn't. It wasn't in the cards. Some things came up for me this morning that I had to deal with before I got to the gym, and that's the reality, and it's okay. But I still went, and I still got a workout in, okay? And so just giving yourself grace and then celebrating all your victories along the way. Not only do we talk to each other in the worst case scenario, we also never build ourselves up, right? It's very rare that we're building ourselves up based out of that egotism, thinking that we're self-focused, and it's just not true. Where focus goes, energy flows. The more we focus on the celebrations, the more our mind attaches to that, the more we're driven to behave in a way that releases that dopamine in our brain, which is a feel-good hormone, where when we're celebrating, we're like, frick yeah, let's do that again, right? And so I can't tell you enough, even if it's just in your head, but get a group around you of people that are willing to celebrate with you and celebrate your successes, especially when you're feeling down. This would be another key component as well. When you're feeling down and out and you're just like, holy crap, I can't do it, have that go-to person that you can call that will build you back up and encourage you and remind you of all the things that you have done, all the things that you have overcome, and all the things that you do get accomplished. I have 2 people in my life right now that at any given moment, if I am going sideways, in fact, they'll catch me even if I hint at, oh my gosh, like I dropped the ball on this, and they're like, whoa, nope, hard stop, that's not true. And they remind me of the truth of what really happened and what I really give to my family, okay? So find those people, delegate as much as possible, give yourself grace, celebrate along the way, get your neighbors involved, get people, community, whoever it might be, get them involved in your life and enjoy the journey. Don't wallow in, oh my gosh, this self-pity of I'm a single parent, this is so hard. Stop it. Just stop it. Enjoy the ride, enjoy your kids, spend a ton of quality time, not quantity that's muted down where you're not present. The quality, and I'm telling you, those are my kids' best memories. They could give a rip if I'm necessarily here when they get home from school, but we go and we giggle and we laugh and play at the park. They freaking remember that for ages, right? That's what they remember. That's what's most important. And they know, no matter what, that mama's here. So hopefully that helps you as a single parent navigate how to manage your life, gives you some ideas, places where you can improve. If you like the video, share it. If you like all of our videos, subscribe to us. And with that said, we'll see you on the other side.